Hello, my name is Christian Manzanares and I'm a mechanical engineer at Georgia Southern University. And my topic for today is 3D printing's impact on the medical field. So basically I'll give you background on 3D printing. 3D printing can be called digital manufacturing or additive manufacturing. And basically 3D printing, you add layers over layers, even layers, to create an object, and you have to make a 3D model using a computer, and you can send it to the printer, based like if you print with ink. And the first one was invented by Charles Hull. He invented the first SLA machine in 1983. The SLA is stereolithography apparatus, the first terminology used. All right. And for medical uses, we can use it to print organs, which is still being experimented on, so it can be safe on humans. And you can also make a scale model of the area you're doing surgery on to prep for it. And there's a lot of benefits from it, and I'll explain later on. And also for training for new surgeons. Alright, for planning, if you plan for a surgery, you can reduce the blood loss, you can reduce the time spent on the table, reduce risk of complications, and you can make a more detailed diagnosis. And according to Takman Wong from Shenzhen Key Laboratory from Hong Kong, China, he wrote an article saying that in fact surgical planning can reduce the blood loss and complication rates, and there are more cases where they use 3D printed models and a lot more objects. I mean, the surgeries went better. Okay, and yeah. So and then you have to use the physical model. You have two methods. There's subtractive method, which is made from polyurethane or other foam. The additive method is you make models from metal or plastic. The subtractive method is more cost, is expensive, and additive is better to use for an exact model. And for the additive method, you use SLS, selective lasering sintering, which you use a high-power laser to fuse small powders of metal or plastic together into a physical 3D image that you get from a computerized. And you can get these images using a CT scan or MRI. And yeah, and you can use computerized tomography or magnetic resonance imaging to scale the model. Yeah, that's basically. Alright, the next I'm gonna talk about an experiment about tissue engineering. Tissue engineering. The objective was to make a 3D printed graft for a laryngotracheal reconstruction (LTR). Basically, LTR is to make your throat wider, which was caused from a birth defect, injury to the throat, or just you have acid reflux and you have trouble breathing, basically. And the method we used to use a 3D printed model of an anterior LTR graft, and the 3D printed was used with polylactic acid. The design was seeded from chondrocytes and collagen gel. Chondrocytes is a cell embedded with cartilage, basically. And the subjects were 9 New Zealand bunnies, and the results I'll explain later. This experiment was done by Lee P. Smith. He's a medical doctor at the LIJ School of Medicine in Hampstead, New York. So basically how they started it off, they I'll show you. There's a graph that they made. The design is 8 millimeters in length, 3 millimeters in width, and 1.2 millimeters in depth. It was designed multiple places to allow cellular incubation. And the chondrocytes that were harvested from one of the New Zealand bunnies, they cut a piece of his throat out so they can make the cells and the graft. Okay, and basically the collagen was made by combining 8 millimeters of purified bovine collagen solution with 1 milliliter of 10 times RPMI, and basically that. And the experiment went on. They used ketamine to sedate the animals. It was first before that, I want to say it was approved by the Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee at the Feinstein Institute of Medical Research. And basically, they were placed and they cut a piece of the throat out, and they used the graft and they use that to reconstruct it. And basically, like, they just put it in there. They glued it together with tissel fibrin glue so it can stay there. And they just went on through the weeks, and like you can see, like, the cellular cell count went up by the thousands each day. And this was a 21-day period experiment that went on, and it was proven that you can in fact make a graft for RTR for animals, but they still are on the line to do it on humans. So that's basically it. It was a success. Yeah, basically the results, animals in test. Oh yeah, the animals survived, and there was new cartilage where graft was present, which was equals a success. And I watched a short video by MIT.
Ali, how are you? Very good to see you. Inside his MIT lab, Dr. Ali Khadim Husseini is tackling a big problem. The hundreds of thousands of people waiting for an organ transplant.
Many of those people die while waiting, and many of them have to wait for someone else to die to get an organ. So we try to actually address this problem by being able to make artificial tissues using 3D printing technology.
You heard right, and Ali figures within 10 or 20 years he'll have it done. They've already figured out how to 3D print human cells, tissues, and blood vessels. Something like a heart, though, is much more complex.
So basically a video about saying that organs are still being tested, 3D printed organs are still being tested. And this is another research by Alright, this is research done by author Pei Feng. His organization is State Key Laboratory of High Performance Complex Manufacturing in Central South University, Changsha, Hunan Province, China. His objective was to prove using zinc oxide and scaffolds for tissue what is better to use that. So the method used, he used various tests to compare scaffolds engineered using zinc oxide and scaffold without zinc oxide. He used 5 measurements: 0, 0.5, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5. The scaffolds were made by SLS, which I explained earlier was using lasers from powder to make metals and plastic. And the results, I'll explain those later. And these are the results. Well, this first is the scaffold that they use for every test, and they included zinc oxide in different measurements. This is the results. The compression test proved that 2.5 was more viable, as 0 is down there. And also in 2.5 in densification, it kept going up for densification, and the cell count, it peaked at 2.5. And for stiffness, it also peaked at 2.5. And for toughness, it also peaked at 2.5. Alright, so yeah, basically 2.5 is the most reasonable to use for this. See, except for in densification, it kept going up, which is also good. And yeah, that's basically it. They found that 2.5 using 2.5 weight percentage of zinc oxide using scaffold for tissues engineering, it's actually effective, and it's better to use. And yeah, and that's it. And then this is a list of medical things we can print in the medical field right now or in the future. We have tissue with blood cells, prosthetic parts, prescription drugs, sensors, medical models, bones, heart valve, ear cartilage, medical equipment, cranium replacement, synthetic skin, and organs. As I said, organs is still under research. This is a list made by Bertlin Mesco. He has a blog in 3dprintingindustry.com. You can go look him up, or it's in the references. And the significance of this, the biggest one is like basically save lives. We can eliminate the organ donor list. It won't be that fast, but you have to go lower and lower. Of course, the organs will be high because it's new invention, and it costs a lot. But your life is worth more, basically. So yeah, and it's also efficient, and this is like a huge step for a better world. So yeah, and that and these are my references. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'm Christian Magnus.